What is up, RotoGrinders? Non-stop MLB DFS for the next 2 hours. First time we get to say it in a while because NBA, the official, the regular season is over. The last month and a half of absolute nonsense is over. We will have content, of course, going forward for premium members. Tuesday, tomorrow night, I believe, is a couple playing games. Tuesday night and then Wednesday night as well. And players will act. All of a sudden, it's going to be a miracle. Players will be healthy. Myself and Chop, two-time millionaire winner, we're here talking baseball for the next hour and 15 minutes or so. Then we bring in TastefulTides Tim Buell. Kristi comes in as well as Kevin Roth, chief meteorologist Kevin Roth. Last I saw, let me give the old refresh on Kevin Roth's weather report. Nothing especially dicey. And I saw maybe a yellow, maybe a hint of yellow, but basically everything was in the clear. We'll give it a refresh. We'll go ahead and drop it in chat. What's up, chat? Kindly hit that like button. Do subscribe. You turn on those notifications. Do all those things. Hit all the buttons. Do everything to help us keep the lights on. It is also a movie Monday, so we're dropping clues to get yourself a week free of RG Premium, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, MMA, PGA, all the sports with the exception of NASCAR, the bells, the whistles, the optimizer, the articles, the surveys, the rankings, Cheese's article, everything Chop puts out there, everything I put out there, all the goods. Chopper, how are things? Everything good on a Monday?
Yeah, I can't complain, really. I mean, yeah. I had to take my lawnmower into the repair guy today, so I'm probably gonna get charged an arm and a leg. But other than that, I can't complain about anything. Like, everything seems good. I mean, yeah, I can't complain, man.
What's like a good lawnmower? Is this one of those? Do we sit or we're walking?
No. My yard's not big enough for a riding lawnmower. It's got to be a push lawnmower.
So what does a good push lawnmower cost? Because my guess would be at a certain point, a certain threshold, it's not even worth fixing it. Is a good one like $500? Well, what's
not that expensive? A good one's like you can get a pretty good one these days for about $250 to $300. But if it's a simple enough fix, this guy might be able to knock it out for $75. I think that's the threshold. I told him if it's anything more than a certain amount, let me know, and I'm not going to pay it so I can get a new one. But he'll usually keep it under what I need. So
you got a guy?
I got a guy, man. I got a guy.
Yeah, that's always. There's certain like a plumber. If you got a plumber on the Rolodex, that's.
I got a plumber too, man.
I don't have one.
See, the thing is about the plumber is that. So you look under, you start to Google this stuff or look it up, whatever online, try to get a number, and it's going to give you a lot of big business people, like the business, the plumber businesses, the John Wayne Plumbing or whatever it is, the bigger people.
Yeah. So
you get a guy to come out, and if you like the guy's work or whatever, you get his number personally, and you tell him, hey man, look, next time I got a little something, you'll make a little more. I'll save a little more. So I got a guy that I like, and he hooks it up. My lawnmower guy his name's Monty. He does really good work, man. It's not like it's out of his house and he repairs them in his backyard. We're good, man. So I trust him.
Respect, man. Those guys, they work hard, man. They definitely earn their money. What's up, chat? Hit that like button. I see TJ hanging out. Oh, TJ is feeling kind. He's going to be giving away the Spidey Bombs every 50 likes. Some Spidey Bombs we dropping in the chat. Also, I did drop the Ross weather. I did give it a refresh as far as seeing. As I suggested, as I talked about, really nothing especially noteworthy. Let me see. I just closed it out here by accident. Now I have to pull it back up on the fly. But Chop, you happen to have it? You know what? I can just go in the chat and click on it. But yeah, New York is straight green. As far as Minnesota, it's straight yellow. Decent amount of rain. But I'm optimistic. This is Roth. Optimistic that they're going to play ball one way or another. We'll need to check the radar pregame to have a better idea of what's up. Cold winds ripping out at 20 miles per hour to right center. I think Weather Edge was saying that game was kind of an anomaly, if I remember correctly. Not a big sample size. Green, yellow in the Lou in St. Louis. What does Weather Edge have? We also got some lineups that dropped before the show. No Contreras, no Yelich, no Riley Green, no Cody Bellinger for the Yankees. I may have missed somebody else, but that is some of the bigger names that are not playing baseball today. Chop, how we feeling? How we feeling about today's pretty good size, right? It's not overwhelming. We're not looking at 13 or 14 or 15, right? I believe it's eight games. Some studs for sure. Still some really good arms out there. A lot of these teams still on track of now it's like the twos, some of the ones. Sometimes you get the fives as far as the pitchers in their rotation. As we progress with the season, teams will get on different tracks, but still a pretty good a good allotment of pitchers today. I would say it's probably, I haven't looked at tomorrow or the next day. I'm guessing it's getting progressively worse. But do you want to give me your overall thoughts? You know what? Let me go ahead and drop the first clue to today's Movie Monday. I know you like that. Let's wet the beak. You tell me in the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord, live stream chat channel. Does not cost you anything. A lot of our Discord channels are free. That is a free one. You just need a standard RG account. The first clue for Movie Monday is a rodent. Rodent is the first clue. And I know Chop likes to play in the side. Just got to slide in here. Just one guess per clue drop. There's no MMEing. And if you hit it first, you get yourself a week free of RG Premium. Give me the screenshot here, Chop, because it's 16 teams playing baseball. Very, very clearly, just all you gotta do is look at team totals. The Dodgers are, have a team total higher than everybody else by at least a run, I believe, almost 6. Not the best weather, it looks like. Well, I guess it's looks a little bit better than I thought it was earlier. But Senzatella, outside of course, kind of a ground ball guy. If he has a skill, he will get ground balls. Dodgers still have a team total close, pushing 6. I don't think there's a 5. I'm pretty sure it's not a 5. So they're very, very obviously in their own tier. But it's baseball, and weird baseball things happen all the time. Yeah. Yankees are closest to 5 at 4.8. That's basically it. There's a lot of 3s out there too. It's still really cold. Just not a lot of great environments just yet as far as hitting baseballs. As we progress throughout the season, the environments become more appealing for hitters. But I'm curious how you're handling this slate with the Dodgers. Super, super obvious. Everybody sees it. What are you doing with them on the whole? And we're going to do our power rankings later on as far as our tiers with our stacks. And then just bring in pitching, your screenshot. What are we seeing?
Should be a fun slate. Screenshot, big picture. I think there's you can certainly find your 2 pitchers and you feel pretty comfortable with them tonight on DraftKings, or 1 on FanDuel, but I'll just say the 2 on DraftKings. You can certainly find 2 that you feel real good about that are in a pretty decent price range. And then you can go down to your hitting stacks and you go to the bottom of that, the pitcher pool, and you see plenty of stacks that you feel comfortable with, and you gotta find out which one. So I think it's going to be a fun slate. You get both ends. What to do with the Dodgers? I don't know. I mean, they're going to be really good, and they're going to score runs. You can't completely ignore them, even if you don't want to full stack them, even if that's not what you would consider your main stack, 4 or 5 hitter stack. You still want to have something, I think. I think you still want to have something involved with the Dodgers. They're not going to get shut out tonight, that's for sure. And so I'll probably I'm going to play a little bit on FanDuel, a little bit on DraftKings, and probably throw in 1 in the 555, which I would consider, those are tough, man. So
10K to first, right? I'm saying it's almost a
no. Isn't it 200K to first or something like that?
555 to enter. You're talking about the you know what? I think it might have sold out, Chop.
Yeah. That one, I'm already in, so I'm good.
Okay, yeah. That one.
But, so just for a point of reference, on that team, it would not be a full Dodger stack. It would maybe be 2 at the most, but more than likely a one-off. So that's how I would handle that.
Yeah, the smaller contest, the single entry contest, the 3-entry max contest, it tends to rise up as far as the chalk, as far as players not want to be as ambitious. But if you want to go Ricky Bobby style, you're not playing the Dodgers in that kind of contest. And the Sims will probably tell you to do that as well, because baseball, weird baseball stuff happens all the time. You see the Dodgers are not going to get shut out, and they're probably not. But their opponent tonight, the Rockies, got shut out all weekend. I don't know if you saw that. They did not score a run in 3 games in San Diego. That's horrendous. They don't have a 3 total, 2.73. It's bad times for the Rockies. No lineup there just yet. Nothing for the Padres either. Nothing for the Cubs. Of course, that's a West Coast game. Taking on Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease coming off one of the worst games we've seen him in a while out of him. I do think it's interesting you mentioned FanDuel and DK because it kind of, and I know Cheese wrote about this too in his article, the price of Cease is really, really tempting on FanDuel. It feels like FanDuel is reacting more to how are you doing? Not expectations. And DraftKings is a little more like Jazz Chisholm's over 5K on DraftKings. He's not been very good this season. FanDuel he's like 3K or 3.3 or something like that. They're a little bit more reactive as far as like how is your season actually going and changing the prices as is. But Cease, of course, got hammered last time, so they dipped his price a good bit. He's 9.8 on DK, but on FanDuel, Cease is distinctly different, cheaper than like all the other guys that you can say are in the same tier, 8.4K. And we don't really want to pick on the Cubs, but Cease is one of the best K pitchers on the slate. So I think it's important to note, and I'm sure you'll talk about it as far as pitchers, how you're attacking the slate pitching-wise. The chat, by the way, is saying Scooball is not in lineup HQ. Is something going on with lineup HQ? He's still throwing baseballs tonight as far as I know, so maybe they're working on it. There might be an issue with lineup HQ, but hit the refresh button, and they're probably clearing it up. I'd imagine so. I have Scooball in lineup HQ, so yeah. Many times when it's like, oh, this looks weird, Phil is saying he's hitting refresh. Let's see. Okay, on DK, Scooball is there. And you know what? He's not on FanDuel for some reason. Well, I'm sure we're going to make somebody aware of that, and they'll get on top of it. But, yes, that has to be fixed, obviously. So he's on DraftKings. He's not on FanDuel for some reason. But so I don't think that's your issue. I think it's our issue, and we'll figure it out here on the fly. Chop, what do you got? Give it to me as far as today's pitching assessment.
Okay, D. How's my guess? Is my guess on point? Did I get it? In the private chat? Did I get it?
You did not, but it's a good guess, though. It's a very good guess.
I thought I was going for that angle. You see what angle I was going for, right?
Yes, very good.
Okay. Also, Dean, I did want to, you've been out for a while, Dean. So let me get you some trivia real quick. Some trivia. I got 3 of them I ripped off.
Did you ask TJ, whoever you were with, trivia? Or
we did some trivia the first time. The second, after that, we didn't do it. We didn't do it very much. But so I got a few of them for you. I'm gonna take this glass off so I can read this. I need to get some LASIK, but I hear after 10 years it wears off. I'm going to give you 3 of them because 2 of them are multiple choice, and that's a little bit, All right. You ready for these, Dean?
Yeah.
Who threw more shutouts for the Astros? Multiple choice. Mike Scott or Don Wilson?
Mike Scott, I feel like he had per start, I would say it's Mike Scott. I'm going to say Mike Scott.
Mike Scott threw 21. Don Wilson threw 20. You are correct.
Yeah.
Multiple choice. This has nothing to do with the Astros. I don't know why they throw these in there. But speaking of the Dodgers, who had more shutouts with the Dodgers, Sandy Koufax or Don Drysdale?
Koufax only played for like 8 years or so. So I'm gonna say Drysdale.
Oh, you got it. Ding, ding. You're 2 for 2. Drysdale with 49 shutout. Koufax with 40. Pretty big discrepancy there. And here's one for you. On this date, not this date because I tore this off a week ago, but on this date, 1980, Willie McCovey hit the last of his 521 career home runs. At the time, who was the only left-handed hitter in MLB history with more than McCovey at the time, 1980? Left-hander.
Whew. Yeah. Was it the guy for Detroit?
No.
Yeah. I don't know.
Mr. Richard got it in chat. Babe Ruth. It was Babe Ruth was a left-handed hitter. If you didn't,
I didn't know he was a lefty. Yeah,
in case you didn't know it. So, yeah, but that's that. All right, we knocked that one out.
I guess that's kind of a weird question because Babe was the guy. Well, I guess Aaron beat him in 1980, I suppose. Yeah. All right, but 2 out of 3, not bad. We'll take it, even though they were multiple guests and kind of sort of somewhat cheating. I see people guessing the old Movie Monday and YouTube, and we appreciate getting the reps in, but they do not officially count. So, Nicholas, I see you took a guess there. That even if that was correct, I'm not saying if it is or isn't, it would not officially count. Let me see if we have some guesses I can pull up and see if any. I have yet to give the answer to producer Steve, so it's possible somebody guessed it correctly, and I just don't know it just yet. But let's see. Groundhog Day and Christmas Vacation, Mallrats. I love that guess. That's a good guess. Yeah, they're guessing Babe in chat as well, so they're way ahead of us. Caddyshack. Oh, somebody else said The Departed. They were thinking that the same way you're thinking, Chop. It is not The Departed, but that is a good guess. Ratatouille, of course, was thrown out there. And Old School, I don't believe we have a winner just yet. It is not Naked Gun. Although, yeah, I was going to make we'll talk tiers. I was going to do sequels I most want to see, or, sequels I want to see. And, obviously, there's a couple I want to see. There's stuff that I definitely don't want to see. And I don't know if you know this, Naked Gun's coming up, the sequel with Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson. Are you aware of this?
I've heard of it, yeah.
I probably watched that movie more as a child than any other movie, which might say a lot about me. I don't know. I didn't watch, The Lion King or any of that kind of stuff. But I didn't watch cartoons. I watched the infomercials and I watched Naked Gun. So that was my childhood. Do we care about you a fan of the original Naked Gun? Not just 2.5 or 33 1/3, but the original, the OG?
I mean, I've seen it a couple times. It was funny back in the day. I don't know if I really need a sequel to it, but whatever. I'll probably watch it. Probably watch it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. That's a good. You don't know if you need a sequel to anything they're making. I mean, everything is, they're making a War of the Roses. I don't know if you know that a new War of the Roses is coming out. But all right, we'll get back on track as far as the slate. Again, we got an hour or so until crunch time comes in. They're talking about my hair. It's funny. I was bringing up pre-show. Yeah, I just didn't have a chance to get a haircut. I meant to get a haircut, and I'm not intending to grow it out, but unintentionally, that is what I'm doing over here. We get more lineups coming in as well. Let's see. They kind of sorting on through. No, last one we got was the Brewers. I think we're just waiting for mostly the late night stuff. Yeah, Dodgers, Rockies, Padres, Cubs. We got everything else. So all the lineups, we have 12 of the 16 as far as who's playing baseball tonight. Chop, give me more in-depth thoughts as far as pitchers. Who's the cheapest guy you're willing to roster?
Wow, it's a good question. Willing to roster is
for a large field
Okay. For large field stuff, on DraftKings, I don't have the FanDuel salaries pulled up, so I'm just dealing with DraftKings. I think I would in a large field, I would be willing to roster Grant Holmes. That's 6,500. So I could go that route. Don't love it, but I could do that. The neighborhood he's keeping down there, I want no part of, some of those other guys. Then you bounce up several $100 and you get to a pretty reasonable little tier right there with Tanner Houck and Clay Holmes. But I think the dirt cheapest guy I would go is Grant Holmes, but that'd be large field and just really really large field GPP.
The best part about Grant Holmes? I don't know how much Atlanta Brave baseball you watch. You know who he's doppelganger, right? You know who he looks like? Producer Steve, throw a picture of Grant Holmes up on the screen.
Let me see.
Yeah, he looks like Kenny Powers.
Does he?
Yes. Let's get producer Steve. Let's see if he can throw up a picture of Grant Holmes. So the issue with him, I mean, this is small sample stuff. We're still going to deal with small sample shop. 19% walks on the season so far. That's brutal. I think he has 4 walks in both of his individual starts. How is that? I mean, that's Kenny Powers. You see it? Look at that hair. Look at those locks.
We're stretching it, but okay.
You don't see that?
I mean, just because he got long hair, but I tell you this. Speaking of Kenny Powers, that reminds me of the thing where, they have the little thing where they put Mahomes after the Super Bowl and what he said next to Kenny Powers, what he said. And I don't know, you've seen that, right?
Yes.
The way they talk very similar. So it reminds me of Mahomes.
Yes.
But have you seen Mahomes' new look? Yeah,
No, what has he done?
He's coming in sharp this year. He's gonna have a big year based on his new look.
I haven't seen what he had. He had a makeover in the offseason?
Yeah, yep. He's down to business now.
I don't know. I don't know what he's up to. Maybe Steve can get something like that thrown on the board, but I can just Google on my own. By the way, thankfully, the chat has confirmed the Screwball issue is corrected in Lineup HQ. Yeah, they're on top of it. Give it a refresh. If you're still having issues, contact support. But I imagine we're good to go. 519, so just had a refresh, just had an update. Screwball is in there. Yeah, he's fine. I'm gonna be over the field on him. Just for the record, I'm not seeing a huge number of ownership on him. And we saw earlier with DeGrom where he wasn't very good this year as far as the surface numbers, but his swing and strike rate suggests that he's fine. I know he's down a few, miles per hour as far as I'm still thinking DeGrom for some reason, but that was kind of intentional. Screwball is kind of the same thing, and it's sort of small sample stuff, right? But the Ks have not been amazing, 23%, but the swing and strike's the biggest number on the slate, 15.8%, and that suggests he's in line for some positive regression when it comes to some strikeouts. So and it's not that much more for Screwball. It's a little bit tougher, I would say, on FanDuel when you're only rostering one, but I'm going to prioritize him on DK, and the field is as well, obviously. Going to do the ownership stuff here, taking a peek as far as what we have. Most popular pitcher is Screwball at 35%. Chop, I'm seeing May at 24% and 9.3K. I know he's facing the Rockies in LA. The win is on layaway, assuming he can get the W, assuming he can stick around for 5 innings, probably ahead. But he's always a pitch count guy, and his Ks are not good. I don't think I'm getting the May at 9.3. I don't think I'm getting there. I like Cease more for a little bit more. I like Framber more for a little bit less. Sonny Gray even, I think I like more than May. He's a better play. Actually, on FanDuel, I think he's also in the 9s. But can you rank? Is May somebody in your pool? I just think he's a little bit too much.
So in another matchup, probably not. Like I would want to fade Dustin May most of the time in this spot right here. But against Colorado, I think I got to keep him in the player pool. It's the lowest team total on the board. It's pretty reasonable, pretty good weather for pitching to keep the ball in the ballpark. He's already the Ks aren't there, but the run suppression is. So he's not going to get. He's going to mow down 5 to 6 innings even on a pitch count. Give up hardly anything, like maybe 0, 1, maybe 2 runs. And so you're just hoping he can stumble into some strikeouts and be okay. But most of the time, I do want to fade him here. But against Colorado, not going to be able to. He's going to have to remain in the pool for large field GPPs. With that being said, again, I'll reference the 555 with that much money on the line in that particular type of field. I won't be playing Dustin May. But large field, I got to keep him in there.
He's another guy with a particularly impressive head of lettuce, Dustin May. But you were right. I kind of alluded to it earlier. Yeah, according to Weather Edge, 92-game sample, pretty big sample. 60 degrees, 49 is the dew. The wind is blowing out slightly at 8 miles per hour, but in 92 previous games, homers have taken a hit at 30%, runs at 4.4%. It also makes me we'll talk about it, maybe the Dodgers shouldn't be as crazy owned as they might be. I know they're the biggest team total. I know they're facing the Rockies, but Senzatello's a ground ball guy.
Yeah.
You're probably losing the 9th inning. You probably only have 8 innings of ABs.
And as far as that weather is concerned, it's not the wind, Dean. It's not the wind. It's Kirk Deese is in chat.
The dew?
He is Kirk Deese is in chat. He is the expert here. It is the dew point model. So I'm curious to see what his dew point model says, but I got a feeling it would definitely favor the pitchers here.
Do you have access to that? Because I asked him, and he said no. He refused to give me access. I'm not in the circle of trust.
Not direct. I don't know the password. The password changed on me recently, but if I ask him for the spreadsheet for the day, he'll get it to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel bad just sliding in now these days. He might give me the stink guy. All right. Oh, let's give the second clue. Second clue for the people as far as Movie Monday. That is Partners is a second clue. So rodent and partners. Did we talk about Baz? What's your thought about Baz? My issue with that, if there is an issue, I like Baz. I think he's a good pitcher. But that's like the best hitting environment on the slate, by default, if nothing else, in Tampa, where it's almost 80 degrees, the wind's blowing out. Everywhere else, I guess in New York, it's in the 60s. Toronto, they have a dome. Minnesota, it's going to be in 40s, 50s. Milwaukee, they have a dome. St. Louis will be in the 60s. Wind is blowing out to right center for what it's worth. 50s, 60s, San Diego. It's the best hitting environment. I do like the arm on Baz. They also kind of baby him a little bit there in Tampa. And Houck on the other side is another kind of sort of somewhat interesting cheap pitcher if you want to go there. But I think it's a game better suited for hitters, but I do like Baz. I'm conflicted. He's just expensive too, is the other part.
Yeah. It's a tough lineup, man. That's a tough lineup to invest too much into Baz. He's been striking guys out this year. His K rate in general probably looks like it's going to be a pretty good K rate throughout the course of his career if he can stay healthy. So he's got that going for him. But the numbers aren't they don't jump off enough just yet for me to want to challenge Boston like that. So I'm probably a little bit lower on. Let me pull up the numbers on him. Yeah, I'm probably a little bit lower than the field on Baz, but I could, it is teach his own. But Boston's just not a team I want to attack these days. You better be really on point with your game. You better have a full pitch count. It better be pretty neutral environment hitting wise, and so. But otherwise, I don't want to attack Boston. You're on mute, Dean. You're on mute.
Sorry. Yeah, you mentioned Baz and his pitch counts, 96 and 96. So that's really pretty positive, especially out of Tampa. I do like seeing that. So his pitch count is pretty solid. Like Kirkwood's in the chat talking about the dew point model. I guess it got too big. Also, we had TJ hang out in the chat. If we get the 50 likes, every 50 likes, we got a Spidey Bomb dropping. Later on in the show, of course, Chop's going to give us his knockers, his BBB selection of the day. Suggestion of the day. I shouldn't say selection. And there it is. We hit 50 likes and right on cue. We'll talk about the hitters soon enough, but Brandon Lau, one of the better hitters taking aim for homers today. I don't know what the odds are, but TJ usually checks that out as far as odds, at least for his book. It kind of works and makes sense. What about Framber? What about Framber Valdez? Because we know the deal with him. All the ground balls, quality start machine. Probably not somebody that's going to rack up 9 or 10 Ks. But he's also probably not going to kill you unless he gets fully BABIP'd. Where do you have Framber against the Cards?
I like Framber. I'm a Framber guy tonight. It's not he can be a little bit, at times inconsistent, but I think he's looked good this year so far. He had the one bad little outing against San Fran, but otherwise he's, that's sandwiched around 2 really good outings. He's been getting some strikeouts this year. I don't mind him if he can just keep his control a little bit. I'm just looking up and down at that Cardinals lineup, and it's just not scary lineup. It's not a scary lineup. There's no really hitting conducive weather tonight out there. So I kind of like Framber tonight for a pretty good price tag on DraftKings. That price tag jumps up on FanDuel, so I don't know about there, but I definitely like him. I think he's in play on DraftKings, and just hope he has control. That's all you're doing with Framber, man. I don't care. You could look through all the stuff you want, all the stats you want. The bottom line with him, can he throw his off-speed stuff for strikes? And you can't tell that sometimes. You don't know, man, unless you're out there watching warm-ups, or even then you probably couldn't tell. But if he can throw it for strikes, he can mow through any lineup and be pretty good. If he can't, you're looking at a guy who's going to struggle to get through 5 or 6, and he's going to give up a lot of runs in those 5 or 6. So if he's got his control, he's good. I tend to think that he's pitching pretty well this year. So I kind of like him tonight.
Anybody we missed? Anybody want to talk about? Anybody showcase? Anybody want to reiterate? Some people probably just joined the show now. They're kind of strolling in. As far as pitchers, what do you want to stress? I think we mentioned the most, the ones that are going to be most rostered, most discussed. I think Sonny Gray is also somebody that's in the pool as well. And coming into the season, I thought he was going to be vulnerable. He had a bad offseason. He had an injury going that kind of ruined his offseason workout stuff, but he was feeling ill all spring training. And he's been really good this year, outside of giving him some homers. Like as far as the metrics, beyond giving him some home runs, he's been pretty good. And also a slew of righties. You know, your Astros, Chop. I mean, just too many righties. You know this. Like they're really missing Tucker. Not just because he's awesome, because he gets on the left-hand side. Again, it's eight righties and then Jordan. And maybe that's one reason why he's not playing well this year, because I haven't watched a ton of Astros, but they're probably pitching around him or being selective and maybe swinging at some things that aren't necessarily spectacular to hit. But yeah, they need another left-hander in that lineup. Anybody else we should mention? Anybody else you want to double down on before we move on from pitching?
We're not going to double down on anybody. I think it's spread out pretty good. One guy that we did not mention that I do have highlighted, I'm intrigued in, is Clay Holmes. Yeah, he's got the stuff. I think he's starting to kind of maybe piece it together as a starter now. I don't mind the matchup at all. So I'm kind of on more Clay Holmes than the field here. I think he's got a pretty good repertoire working for him. So I like Clay Holmes tonight, and we didn't mention him. He's got a really good price tag on DraftKings, and I can play that out.
What about the Holmes stack?
The what?
The Holmes stack.
On DraftKings, double pitcher Holmes.
Clay, Grant.
I tell you what,
is Priest available?
That would give you the you could do whatever you want with your hitting if you went that route, right? Those are two really nicely priced guys, but that's definitely plausible if you wanted to go there. If you really felt like, if Grant would be the one that scares the heck out of me, but yeah, I could see it happening.
Kirkwood in chat said that's his lineup. We're peeking at Kirkwood's lineup. He's going with the brothers, the Holmes brothers. Let's Chippendale Rescue Rangers is a guest in the chat, which is a hilarious guest. Shout out to the Prince. That is not the answer for today's Movie Monday, but shout out to you. It's not The Nice Guys. That's a good movie though. That's a I see what you're doing with that. Or somebody else gets Suicide Squad. Chop, you get Suicide Squad. It is not Suicide Squad. I don't know why you would have guessed that. I feel like I'm missing something.
Did you watch?
I think I saw that. Was Will Smith in that? And the Joker's girlfriend, Harley Quinn?
I was more referring to the second part, the sequel to Suicide Squad.
Okay. Which
had a character called Rat Catcher.
Okay.
So, but I guess that ain't the answer.
I've seen at least one of them. I don't know which one. I might have seen both. By the way, we just got the Padres, Tatis, Arise, Machado, Sheets, batting cleanup, Bogarts, Iglesias, Hayward, Wade, and Maldonado for the Padres. No Jackson Merrill, obviously he is on the IL, so still waiting for 3 more lineups. Nobody just yet has got the Movie Monday. No, it's not Dazed and Confused or Tarzan or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Ant-Man and the Wasp or Geely. It's not Geely. But shout out to Peterman in chat. He said, just randomly said, I finally saw Dumb and Dumber yesterday. Better than I thought it would be. I don't know what it's like to watch Dumb and Dumber for the first time in 2025, but all right. Yeah, it's hard to watch it with 2025 eyes if you've seen it many, many years ago. But there you go. I'm sure that was in your wheelhouse many years ago, Chop. Yes?
It was a very funny movie when it first came out. I haven't seen it in a while, so maybe it does not withstand the test of time, but it was very funny.
It's been a long time since I've seen it, but yeah, as a child, I did thoroughly enjoy it. All right. Anything else of note as far as pitchers, or shall we talk about let's talk about some hitters. Let's talk about some stacks. Before we do that, let's go ahead and give the people the third clue. The third clue for today's Movie Monday. We're going to go ahead and scroll back, get our guest there in the Discord. The third clue, Chop, is pitch, rodent, partners, and pitch. That's our 3 clues. That's our 3 clues today. Got a couple more coming. Got crunch time coming in about 40 minutes or so. Roth is going to be here. If anything weather related of notes, he's on top of it. You got Tim, you have Kristi taking you home all the way up to lock tonight. With that said, Chop, what is I don't know what it is. You took care of it. I appreciate it. What is today's tier category for our stacks?
I mean, in honor of the NBA season ending and the playoffs about to start, I just went ahead and did a little NBA board, a little NBA of where I would rank serious contenders for the title this year. But I did not include play-in teams. I didn't want to include play-in teams.
Well, they would be the 5, but yeah.
Yeah, they'd be down there. So I didn't want to do that. That's easy. So I just took the ones who are in the actual playoffs right now and just kind of tiered them up as to where I think they're kind of serious. You can now remember just because I didn't include a team on the board, doesn't mean it can't be like a serious title contender. I could only pick one in that category. So yeah, go for it, Dean. What you got?
I'm gonna guess you put OKC 1.
That's a negative, but you can keep guessing if you want to.
It's disappointing. So you put the Celtics 1 or Cleveland?
There's a possibility you're on the right track now.
I hope if you put OKC 2, that's insulting to OKC. I don't think you would do that. I think you would go like Lakers 2.
I mean, no, you're not reading my mind at all here, but I appreciate the. You know, this is all opinionated, right? Like
I understand.
It's very subjective. It's not like
Pistons are like the Pistons are 5. The T-Wolves are 5. No. Just show the board. Because
you got to show the board. You're way off. You're way off here.
Yeah, I mean, you don't think the Thunder are the clear favorite to win the title? I guess you don't.
I do not. I'm going to tell you what. Here's my board right here. Celtics in tier 1. If I could put another team up there, it probably would have been the Cavs. They're going to battle it out with the Celtics at some point. I'll put Celtics as the biggest contender right now for sure. The second tier, I swear I'm kind of going off the board here from most people. The Clippers. Man, if they can just stay healthy, if Kawhi can just stay 100% healthy in this playoffs, I think the Clippers have a real chance to get to the finals. I really do. And they would set up in that second round against OKC. I seriously think they could be a tough matchup for the Thunder.
You think they beat Denver?
Yes, I do. Denver seems like
it's what the Malone firing is just never seen that.
Well, we've seen a lot of things this year. We saw it a few weeks earlier in Memphis.
Yeah, but the Malone one seems even more like
because he won the title already. Yeah, it felt like when that happened, it's like, okay, this season's a done deal. I just don't think you fire your coach at that point in the season. And so yeah, I think they roll past Denver. I think they get OKC in the second round. I think they beat OKC. I think there's some good value there because when they're healthy. Did you know when these last 21 games with Kawhi playing?
He's been awesome, and Zubac's been awesome.
Yeah, he's really good. With Kawhi playing full allotment of minutes, no more. They're 18-3. Like they're a good team. So I like the Clippers and Thunder down there. They're gonna have to beat the Clippers for me to feel like it's their time yet. They're still really young. And so the Lakers, I think, are the most fraudulent, like high up there team that people are thinking. They're going to struggle on defense big time in the playoffs. Big time.
They might not score you though, but yeah, it's a fair point.
Teams are going to match. They're going to hunt for the matchups against the Lakers. So I think they get bounced relatively early. The Rockets, I'm going to put them down there. They're not serious contenders this year. I wouldn't expect them to be either. There's all their main guys that you think of as the core. Not even 23 yet. Only one guy's 23. The rest of them are 22 or younger, so they're too young to do anything significant. But I will say this, Dean, they hold that Phoenix draft pick, which has a roughly 12% chance of landing in the top 4.
Not protected at all?
Not at all. It's their pick, period, wherever it lands. So, man, there's like a 3% chance there.
You're telling me
that could be Cooper Flag, man. You never know. So. But this year is not going to be their year, so we'll see how that plays out. But that's kind of my board right there.
Speaking of, you mentioned Cooper Flag. Tonight is the WNBA draft, I saw. So shout out to, I think Paige Beckers is like the assumed number one going off there tonight. All right. Let's go ahead and rank our teams. I see several people in chat saying it has to be Boston. Vegas has OKC as a slightly higher favorite for what it's worth. Their path is probably a little bit trickier. And nobody respects Cleveland. I know they're the third favorite, almost like 5-1, 6-1, depending on where you're shopping. But did they have the second best record? They had 2 separate streaks of like 15 wins in a row this year, or something like that, which is pretty unprecedented. But people just don't trust the Cavs in the playoffs. What was it? Jared Allen said the lights were too bright. last time. It was the last season against New York, I believe. Anyways, let's go ahead. Let's do our power rankings. Do we have a winner, by the way, for Movie Monday? I don't think we do. If we do, I missed it. No winner just yet. So we'll drop a fourth clue in a second. But let's go ahead and let's power rank our stacks. The very first game we're going to talk about here, Chop, it is the Royals. Royals taking on New York, 9 total. New York's a favorite here by -142. Carlos Carrasco taking on Seth Lugo. Seth Lugo's kind of a little bit of an overachiever in my estimation. I wish Bellinger was in this lineup for New York, but still, you got Judge. You got a catcher bat in third and Wells. Jazz, who's been mostly terrible this year, but like there's still some upside, of course. Rice, who's like a big, tall drink of water, a lot of power leading off. Not your prototypical leadoff hitter. Don't mind him either. And of course, Aaron Judge, if you have the salary, by all means, you can always do that. And then the Royals, Bobby Witt, one of the best players on the board, in my opinion. Royals, Yankees, to me, this is one of the best games, both these teams, when considering them against everybody else on the slate.
I tend to agree with you, Dean. That's why I'm going to put KC in tier number 1 to start off with. I just don't believe Carlos Carrasco has very much left in the tank anymore. So I gotta roll with that thought process. He's just, any of his numbers are just average. Like there's nothing about him that says good. They're all average. And then when you dig into some of his pitch metrics, they're just bad. So I think he's lucky just to maintain an average number. So I definitely like KC very, very much tonight. The Yankees against Lugo, you said a little bit maybe fraudulent. I tend to agree with that one too. So I'm putting the Yankees in tier 2. I think they have a chance here tonight. Like, first of all, Aaron Judge is just about on any slate, including tonight, is going to be the odds-on favorite to hit a home run. Like he's got the best odds to hit a home run just about any night. So he's got that going for him tonight. So some of the other guys in the lineup also are going to come in pretty high in that regard. So there's a lot of power in that lineup. Said Lugo, he had a really good year last year, but like you said, overachieving, man. Overachieving. So I just got to think that eventually regresses a little bit. And I got the Yankees in tier 2.
Shout out to Winky in chat. What did he win? Kirkwood saying huge congrats. Winky, really, really good at the DFS, at the basketball specifically. Did he win something for basketball? He did. I'm sure it was well earned. Let me know what you won there, Winky. All right, Boston, Tampa, 8.5 is a total. Kind of a coin toss here. Tampa -118 as far as the favorite. We like Shane Baz a good bit. Tanner Houck's all right. We also mentioned this is one of the better.
Winky's a big best ball guy, I think.
I
think he won something. I think he probably won regular season best ball on DraftKings or something like that.
All right. Well, shout out to Winky. There you go. That must be 6 figures, I'm guessing.
It was big. I think it was pretty big.
Yeah, good for him. He puts the work in. Baz versus the Red Sox. We like the Red Sox, but Baz is not necessarily somebody we want to pick on. We mentioned that this is one of the better environments as well. It's kind of a tricky one, and one of the bigger totals collectively, and it's kind of a coin toss. How do we have Boston and Tampa? Well, he won first and second for $200K. Whoa, there you go. Shout out to Winky. Nicely done.
He had the right strategy going.
Pick the winners.
That's what you got to do, the right strategy there, yeah. So what are we at? We're on Boston?
Boston, Tampa.
Okay. Yeah. This is Hawk is like, I don't know. People don't like him. I don't mind him. I think, he's an okay pitcher. I think he has some good stuff. He has to get it together. And Baz is kind of similar. He has really good stuff too. And some of the numbers aren't as good. I just not like Tampa doesn't have a good lineup, I don't think, but Boston does. Both these teams kind of fall into tier 3 for me. I'm just not super excited about stacking either offense in this game due to the pitching and or the offense of Tampa Bay. Like if there was one team I would want to stack, one pitcher I'd want to stack against, it would be Tanner Houck, but Tampa Bay doesn't jump off the charts enough for me. I think Baz is good enough to kind of maybe keep Boston in check, but then again, I don't want to roster him against Boston. So this is a just completely neutral game for me. I'm just not feeling this game at all. So I'm going to put them both in tier 3. You're on mute, but that's second time, Dean.
Oh, my God. Every time I drink, I'm muting. You know what it is? I've been off a couple shows. It's a rookie mistake. Amateur hour here. My apologies. But I did want to kind of reiterate the pinch hit stuff I was thinking about as well for the Royals. And we're not talking about them. We're done with them. But the Yankees have two lefties in their pen. One of them's kind of worked hard the last 2 out of 3 days. Probably available, maybe not available, not sure. But Biggio is the most likely guy that would get the hook there. If the situation calls for it, if a lefty comes in, I felt like, who did I think was going to start that didn't start? One of their lefty guys, lefty outfielder with an M. I can't think of his name for some reason, but Melendez. Yeah, why did Melendez not start for KC? I think he's healthy, just getting the day off there. Roth, by the way, Roth coming in early. He's not happy with your rankings. He doesn't know what the rankings are, but this is most likely to win the NBA title, the Chop ranking. I think Roth likes the Rockets. Yeah, it was an emotional hedge for you, Chop. That's all you were doing there. Come on. You're and they're not going to win. You're right, but you're also just kind of an emotional hedge there on Houston.
It's not.
Third is outrageous, by the way. Roth is right. It's absurd.
It's an opinion, Dean. It's an opinion. I just, I'm looking at the brackets. I'm looking at the brackets. Like who's going to face who in the first and then the second round, the potential match. I really feel like the Clippers are going to beat the Thunder if everybody stays healthy for the Clippers. That's just I really think that's going to happen. So we'll see how it plays out.
All right, let's move on. I didn't get appropriately angry enough before. I know you said it, and I was staring at it. And I'm like, how are the Thunder 3? And it just registered me again. Like, wait a second, the Thunder are 3? I thought 2 was insulting.
It's who's most likely to win the NBA title? Who's for me, the Thunder aren't going to win the title this year. Like, even if they got to the finals and they faced off against Boston, they have no chance of beating Boston.
By the way, Chop, I know there's no official online sports gambling in Texas, but you said you got a plumber, you got a guy, you have a lawn guy. Do you have a guy you can put a bet in? Because they're 35-1. If you really like the Clippers, they're 35-1 depending on where you're shopping, give or take. So 30-1.
I know some people. Maybe maybe I'll do something there. But yeah, we'll see, Dean. I don't know. But it's all opinionated, man. Brother, come on, you guys gotta not take it so seriously out there, man. It's all opinion. Like,
I appreciate an opinion. Rather than give me the chalk, you're actually going the other way.
Oh yeah, let me go. Celtics 1, Thunder 1, Cavs 2. Like, come on, man. I'm just trying. Yeah, I know. And Roth, I know you're not. The Rockets. I love the Rockets. I'm the Houston guru here. They're not winning the title, bro. This is all about winning. They're just way too young to win it. They're just way too young.
Okay, let's drop the fourth clue for Movie Monday. Has that dropped?
Dang, I didn't get it. I didn't. My guessing.
It is not Sing. It is not
Dang.
Sing. What is Sing?
Well, hell, I didn't know you never seen it, or else I wouldn't have guessed it. Sing, the animation. They got a.
Come on, you think I watched Sing?
Pitch. It was a good movie, Dean.
I don't know what Sing is. Animation, I'm almost definitely out. Like, I just pulled it up. It's pigs are singing. I've
several different animals that sing. So pitch, sing. They got a rat in there. They're all partners trying to save the musical theater. Come on, man. I thought I was on point there, but I didn't know you never seen it.
Spoiler alert: the theater was saved. It was definitely saved. So clue number four. Clue number 4 is based on a true story. Rodent partners pitch based on a true story. Let's move on, knock out some more games. Next up, it's Atlanta. Atlanta taking on Toronto. TJ's Blue Jays 8.5. Speaking of TJ, if we get to 100 likes, I'm not sure if we're there just yet, another Spidey Bomb will drop into the chat. Easton Lucas. I was going to say 2 last names. It's a first name and a last name, but it's reversed, right? Easton Lucas taking on Grant Holmes. No Ozuna. Ozuna not in that Atlanta lineup for what it's worth. Kind of a coin toss here, 8.5. I assume the roof is going to be closed there in Toronto. I'm guessing it's cold. So that's good, considering everywhere else is cold for the most part. How do we have the Braves and the Blue Jays?
All right, let's see here. Where are we at? San Diego for me, although I kind of like their line. I'm sorry, not San Diego. Atlanta and Toronto. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was looking at the team above Atlanta. I needed to be looking at the other one. Toronto for me is pretty. It's kind of a neutral thing. Like we talked about Grant Holmes a little bit. I think he's good enough. I can even play some Granholms. Don't necessarily want to run out of my way and stack against him. So Toronto falls into tier 3 for me. Just a very neutral kind of pick right there. I do have a lot more interest in Atlanta. I'm gonna put Atlanta in tier 2, not quite enough to get them up in tier 1. I think the ownership on Atlanta keeps them out of tier 1 for me. They're going to be very popular tonight as individual bats / stacks. So the popularity probably keeps them out of tier 1, but I think they're very much a tier 2 team. We've got a guy who Easton Lucas, for however long he pitches tonight, what he's shown so far is a lot of control issues. That's great for stacking against, when a pitcher comes out there and does that. It's great for getting into the bullpen earlier in the game, and then you run into one or two guys that just have an off night, and all of a sudden your stack hits, just like explodes. So I do like Atlanta. I'm going to put them in tier 2. If we're just talking about raw, this team can score X amount of runs. They should be in tier 1, but they're going to be very popular. The ownership dictates that, so that bumps them to tier 2.
By the way, Ozuna not available. He's not going to be in the ballpark. He's not going to play the series. He's going back to have an MRI. So I'm guessing they're playing a man down because he's not going in the IL. That's why you're seeing Stuart Fairchild, Nick Allen, Eli White. The 7, 8, 9 on these teams. Oh boy, Fairchild, Allen, and White, Miles Straw, Lukes, and Heineman. No Alejandro Kirk for Toronto. So their backup catcher, brutal back ends as far as these lineups. It's not good. Yeah, lefty starting for Toronto. I was thinking maybe Kelnick will sneak in there at some point for Fairchild or Allen or White, whatever one makes sense. But he probably joins the game at some point. Just kind of throwing it out there. Anything else of note? Or we're moving on? I think we're moving on, right? Joe? Yes? All right. TJ's got to go. He's dropping his second Spidey Bomb. It is Kyle Tucker. I love the Kyle Tucker play tonight. 450. That's a pretty good number. The Mets and the Twins, 7.5 total. Clay Holmes taking on Joe Ryan. Not a very appealing environment as far as hitting baseballs. I saw Roth in chat. We'll go ahead and pull up. I think this is one that was kind of was it a bit of an anomaly here, Chubb? How big was our sample size for Minnesota? I'm doing a scroll here. Yeah, just 2 games. So I'm not trusting this as a 93% boost in homers. Obviously, again, sample size. Do not look at that 93% boost in homers. Oh, my God, we got to stack this game up all different ways. 2 games. It's 2 games. So let's not lose our minds here. And Vegas is telling us it's a 7.5 total. The environment is not great, 40s. The wind is blowing out, for what it's worth, to center around 17 miles per hour. But, yeah, how do we have the Metropolitans and the Twins?
So I cannot ignore the facts, and the facts are that in this weather, it boosts your home runs by almost 100%. Can't ignore that. That's just the numbers.
I mean, it's a fact, but it's not the best interpretation of the fact. Fair enough.
The numbers.
Yes.
No, I've already said I like Clay Holmes as a pitcher tonight and in general, so I think he's going to be a fine starter. And Joe Ryan, in the course of his career, has been really good too, or at least the last couple of years. I think this is some positive pitching here. Even though I do like the Mets lineup, I don't necessarily want to stack either one of these teams tonight. So I'm putting them both in tier 4. I believe in the pitching more than the hitting tonight. If you're gonna twist my arm, I'd rather have the Mets stack, but I don't think I need to go overboard on either one of these teams. So tier 4 for me.
Yeah, Joe Ryan will give up some fly balls. He's one of the biggest fly ball pitcher on the slate as far as his season. So he'll give up some homers too. Pretty good pitcher, obviously. Dating back to last season, 1.24 homers, and he's got a fly ball lean. And these Mets, it's a ballpark jump for him, for them, I assume, outside of Citi Field. Most ballparks are. And I know Roth wrote about it in his article talking about how cold it is, but the wind is blowing out, so maybe that kind of evens out. I'm not sure, but again, 7.5 total. Two pretty good pitchers. Ryan, pretty solid pitcher. Holmes, we think can be good. We think. Let's give the people a 5th clue. I think we have no winner just yet.
I did not even get a guess on this one.
Well, you get 2 this time. How about that? It's like, remember rollover minutes?
Okay.
You got rollover guesses.
Oh man, did I ever tell you my cell phone story? I think I did.
I don't know. I don't know if we have time for it. We're a little behind.
Okay, maybe
Put it in your back pocket.
Yeah.
It is not A League of Their Own, amazing movie. It's not American Hustle, amazing movie. It's not The Wrestler, also an amazing movie. But the fifth clue is feet. Feet is the fifth clue, Chop. Rodent partners pitch based on a true story. Feet. That is our fifth and final clue. It is not Mr. Baseball. Some guesses are coming in. All right. We should probably get a winner. Maybe if not, I have a sixth clue if necessary. Detroit, Milwaukee, 7.5 total. In Milwaukee, Tyler Alexander against Skubal. Skubal, pretty heavy favorite, -162. We mentioned left on left, so no Riley Green. Not drawing the start for Detroit, but probably at some point, if the situation calls for it, joins the game. So, be on somewhat pinch it alert. I was digging into Javi Baez today just because of how cheap he is, and I like righty power against Alexander. God, man, it's been brutal. Looking at his advanced stuff, and then looking at that, he's still owed, I think, more $100 million, I believe. It's a lot of money still owed to Javi Baez. Detroit rarely breaks up the pocketbook, and this was a poor choice. Anyways, there you go. I mushed him enough where he's going to homer. Where do you have the Brewers and the Tigers?
Milwaukee Brewers versus Tariq Skubal is a 5 for me. Spoiler alert, that's my only tier 5 team tonight. So it's interesting like that. But yeah, I don't want any part of Milwaukee against Skubal. It just doesn't make for a good stack. Detroit, on the other hand, gets the matchup against Tyler Alexander. The problem with Detroit is they're just not a very good offense in general. It is an extreme fly ball pitcher, and, he's not a great K guy. He's just not I don't know if he's a very good pitcher at all. So I appreciate the Detroit stack a little bit. I'm going to put them in tier 2. If they had better hitters, they'd be up in tier 1 for me because I like their matchup tonight, but they don't. So they're a tier 2 team, but yeah, I think they could do a little something against this guy, but Milwaukee isn't a void for me.
I took a peek at Derek Carty's The Bat, and 2 of the top 3 hitters on the board for pinch hit risk. One of them probably becomes Riley Green, is Henry Malloy and Creedler. So just be aware of that. They are cheap, but understand you might only get potentially 2 at-bats of these guys. Just a heads up. Not saying you can't play them, but just understand that might be the situation. All right, let's go ahead and scoot along. By the way, Churio had a 14 or 15 game hitting streak. He was 0 for 5 opening night, 5 strikeouts. I think last game it stopped. So bookended his first game and his last game. Every game he's got at least 1 hit, but certainly can do it against Skubal, but not the guy you necessarily want to pick on. I also don't really want to pick on Framber Valdez or Sonny Gray. I don't think so. In St. Louis, kind of a lean for pitchers as far as that ballpark traditionally. 7 total, coin toss, Houston slight favorite. Where do we have the Astros and the Cardinals? And Chop, you just got the answer to today's Monday.
My first one?
I don't know. I don't know if anybody else got it, but you just nailed it. Look at you. Somebody got it. Somebody got it before you.
Son of a...
You have one person that got it before you. Yeah, but nicely done.
Okay, all right. Where we at? Houston?
Yeah, Houston and St. Louis.
Houston and St. Louis. Let me pull those up. All right, Houston. Let's see. St. Louis against Framber. I've already said I kind of like Framber tonight. I definitely like him a lot more than the stat going against him. What do you hope to achieve out of the Framber stack? You're hoping for a total implosion. Even if he's not on his game, he's still going to induce ground balls. You're just when he's not on his game, it's not home runs, it's just walks. And then at that point, they get him out of the game early. So I don't know how much that really helps your stacks. So he's had a solid start to the season, induces ground balls. That's a tier 4 for me, St. Louis. Tier 4. Houston, also Sonny Gray, not bad. Houston struggling with the whole right-handed thing. No lefties except for Jordan. And Jordan's not really I think he's starting to get his wheels going this year, but he's started out slowly. So that's the big threat in the lineup. So I kind of like Sonny Gray a little bit here. I don't like the stack as much. So Houston's also a tier 4 for me.
Yeah, I don't mind Gray. I don't mind Gray as a potential player to roster. I was looking at the splits dating back to, I guess last season. I can include both current and last season. Almost 32% strikeouts against righties for Sonny Gray. That's a big number. And 8 of these guys, 8 of them, are swinging from the right-hand side. It's a pretty contact-heavy lineup for what it's worth. outside of Cam Smith and in his cup of coffee, he's been striking out a ton, not walking at all either. I know there's plenty of promise there in that bat. He was the key piece in the Kyle Tucker trade. And I think he's going to be something at some point. He's flashing. McCormick is another guy that strikes out, but otherwise they're pretty contact heavy. 2 more games to go. Crunch time coming in about 10 minutes or so. You got Tim and Kristi and Kevin Roth, cheap and just waiting in the wings. The next 2 games, shout out to D-Rock. By the way, D-Rock took down the movie Monday. They got a week free of RG Premium. If you didn't win it, sorry, try again next time, or just go ahead and pay for it. Get yourself some Combo Pro. MLB DFS, the annual option, it's $425. However, we dropped the price of Combo Pro. It mirrors the same price as baseball. We're talking baseball, but why not get everything else for free? If you're playing baseball, football, basketball, hockey, MMA, PGA, Combo Pro, you get access to all the content, the tools, the projections, every sport. Again, no NASCAR. So there you go. Get yourself the Combo Pro. Links in the description, as well as checking out the props and pick'em package. More links in the description. 2 more games here, Chop, before we yield, before we get the knockers, before we get the BBP suggestion of the day. It's the Cubbies and the Padres, 7.5 total. Dylan Cease taking on Jamison Tyon. We know no Cubs lineup just yet, unless it just came out and I missed it, but I don't think it did. If you're a BBP guy, by the way, for the record, Cease has really dominated the Chicago lineup with the exception of Kyle Tucker, if you care about such things. Cease, of course, coming off one of the worst starts of his career last time out. Really well priced on FanDuel. A little bit tougher to get to on DK. You certainly can. Cubs, Padres, what do you got?
Start off with the Cubs, who have a very good offense, but Dylan Cease is a pretty darn good pitcher, strikes guys out, like just really good stuff. So don't know. I mean, the Cubs are running into some really good pitchers here lately. At a certain point here, they're going to start running into some more 4th and 5th options in rotations, and we're going to be able to, stack them a lot more freely. But tonight, I'm still going to have them in tier 4 because I just don't want to stack against Dylan Cease. Although he does have issues sometimes. When it goes wrong for Cease, it goes really wrong. So, I mean, I guess, in a really large field, I'm talking about the flagship stuff where there's hundreds of thousands of other people you're competing against. I guess you could stack against him. But I'm not. I got him in tier 4. I'm not going to be playing too much of that. San Diego, I do like their lineup. I do like a lot of the things, and I don't like Jamison Tyon. I don't, I think he has his issues. Doesn't have particularly good stuff anymore. Has really good control, but who cares? So I'm kind of on the fence about them. I really want to put them in tier 2, but I'm not. I'm going to put them in tier 3. Just because the stadium probably dictates a little bit less hitting. If I was going to be splitting hairs between trying to decide between tier 2 and 3, the stadium will come into play. So I'll put them in tier 3.
Couple of notes. Nick in chat is saying Tatis scratched. I don't see that if that happened. It would. Oh, you know what? Yeah, Tatis. I don't see Tatis in the starting lineup. Arise leading off. Arise, Machado, Sheets. Yeah, that must have changed. Didn't see the scratch unless we got something weird or something's wrong. Apparently Tatis is not in there. The bat removed him. I know he was dealing with he had a violent swing a couple games ago where it took him out and he missed a couple games. I'm not sure if that's what's going on or it's some kind of hiccup. That lineup really looks bad without him. Arise is like unrosterable. Hayward, I know he ran the one the other day.
Is it just a lineup HQ issue? I'm not seeing an updated.
That's what I'm asking too.
I'm not seeing an updated lineup. So let's just.
I want to confirm that because he might actually be in and something goofy's happening on our end. So I don't know. For Chicago, we don't have a couple lineup just yet, but pretty good chance Suzuki's out. Pretty good chance they're going to have Amaya doing the catching. And yeah, Kirkwood's telling you underdog still has him in. So I think something weird happened for us. Oh, you know what it is? It has a rise bat in second on the lineups page. 1, it's just like disappeared. It's like you can't read it for some reason. I don't know why, but I assume that is Tatis. Not sure what's going on. Some bug. It's still preseason, I guess. Some bugs we're working out here. By the way, let's go ahead and knock out. Let's tell the people. You got the answer. D-Rock got the answer. Like they're saying, how did the movie Monday? How did it all come together? Rodent, Chop, rodent. You know why I said rodent? You know the answer, but can you reverse it here?
That one is still baffling to me. Don't know what rodent meant, but
do you know that beavers are rodents?
I mean, now that you say it, it kind of sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. So beavers are rodents, and Oregon. I don't know what's depending
Okay.
on. It's the beaver state, and the main place we're talking about is Beaverton. Beaverton,
Okay.
Oregon, is where the headquarters is of this company we'll be talking about. Partners is in relation to two actors who have collaborated, writing, directing. Just they've been in 9 movies together. This being the most recent one. Pitch, not like a throw, but like a pitch, a marketing pitch is the reference. Marketing pitch. Based on a true story. It's based on a true story. Some of it, they make some of it stuff. Rudy was too, but a lot of that was made up. And 5 is feet, which is I think that's what we got. Our winner. You put shoes on your feet. The movie is Air, which is about the pitching, Nike's pitch to Michael Air Jordan, the non-GOAT, but he was really good at basketball back in the day. Ask your fathers about him. Yeah, good movie. It came out a couple years ago. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck are the partners. Rodent is a reference to the Beavers. And, of course, Pitch is the movie Pitch. And let's get back and knock out the last game. We want to get this sorted as far as Tatis. I think it's our mistake because we would see somewhere, right, that Tatis is out, and I'm not seeing that. So double check, but as of right now, I'm assuming Tatis is in, and we're going to figure that out. The Rockies are taking on the Dodgers. 8.5 is the total. Big time, monster favorite. LA is a 7.5. Is almost a 6 total, minus 360. May taking on Senzatella. A lot of ground balls. Also, no Teoscar Hernandez in that LA lineup, so not the best iteration of the Dodgers. Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Smith, Conforto, Edmund, Muncy, Kike, Enrique Hernandez, who I think every one of his hits this year, with the exception of one, has been a homer. And you say, oh, wow, he's having a great season. Well, he's batting like 100. But every time he hits the ball for a hit, he's got 5 hits, 4 home runs. He's batting 114. But hey, that is the old Ricky Bobby style. He's in the lineup, and there's no Teoscar. How do we have the Dodgers and the Rockies, who, again, they were shut out for their last 3 games, which is putrid.
Which is why they have to be pretty low in the stack category because their offense is just bad. So I think so Dustin May get a little bit of ownership. And because of that, I'll put Colorado in tier 4, although just based on talent and everything, they probably deserve to be in tier 5. But Dustin May is like, he could get lit up. You never know. He could walk some guys, and they could do so. Just based on a little bit of potential, I put him in tier 4, but not very much. The Dodgers got to go in tier 1 for me, even without Teoscar. Got to go in tier 1 for me just because Senzatella, really bad numbers in general, right? But the thing that's most troubling for him against this lineup is he just relies on control. He just doesn't have good stuff. Like, it's just not good hit, swing, and miss type stuff. It's control. Well, I think in order to get through this lineup, you need a little bit of stuff and some control, but more stuff than control, if you know what I mean. Like, and there's only so many times you're going to go through these batters and be able to do it with just pinpoint control. So I got the Dodgers in tier 1. At some point, I think they run him out of this game relatively early, and then you get to feast on a bullpen, and that's what you want. And you want to get to the bullpen as soon as you can for your stacks and run into one guy, maybe 2 guys in the bullpen who have to come out and just have a bad night, just don't have their stuff. So that's what you want.
Yeah, it's a sample is small for Senzatella. Did he make the last season just 26 innings? But like the ground ball rate's really good, but the walks are a little too high. The K's at 10%, 10.7. I cheat him a little bit. The biggest hard hit rate, the biggest barrel rate, 1.7 homers per 9. Again, I know it's in LA. It's not in Colorado. I know it's not the greatest weather in the world, but it's also the Dodgers, and there's no Teoscar. It's an interesting sticking point in this slate, though, and I think I'm probably going to be a little under on the Dodgers just because – they're the super obvious team, but there's some reasons to suggest that maybe outside of baseball wonkiness. But like Ohtani's the best play in the slate. If ownership's not a thing, of course, if you can get him, by all means, get yourself some Ohtani. Let's go ahead and do the summary. Chop, we're going to get your knockers here in a second. I know crunch time is coming in as well. two teams up top, hanging out with Jason Tatum. The Celtics have Kansas City and the Dodgers. We got Kawhi with the Yankees, Atlanta, Detroit, the super offended Thunder, at least I am on their behalf. Got the Red Sox, Tampa, Toronto, San Diego. That's the third tier. The fourth tier, hanging out with Luka, LeBron, Minnesota. That's the Mets, Houston, St. Louis, Chicago. It's the Cubs, the Rockies, and the lonely Brewers are hanging out with Amen Thompson. Chopper, BVP suggestion of the day, and the Knockers. What do you got for me?
BVP suggestion of the day, just a suggestion based on some history with batter versus pitcher. I'm going Mookie Betts. It also helps that he's in the highest scoring lineup of the night, or at least projected highest scoring lineup. But I like Mookie Betts here, BVP. Suggestion of the day, the Knockers. We had talked about it at the beginning, and one of the best game environments tonight is New York against Kansas City. So I'm going to the Kansas City lineup for some Knockers. Pretty close together here. 3-5. Vinny Pasquantino, Michael Massey. Nice and cheap. Those are some nice cheap knockers. They can take you a long ways.
Betts is 9 for 20. 5 singles, 2 doubles, 2 dongs, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. A couple questions here in chats. The stack for all the dough, Chop. Who is the stack for all the dough tonight?
I mean, I don't know. This is a loaded question. I don't. At this point, I haven't even decided who I'm going to play on my big lineup tonight. So, but
I'm kind of going back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, I just all I know is I think I'll probably avoid a lot of that Dodger chalk and maybe just one-off bets or something like that. But what do I like about Tanner Houck is another question in chat. I just like that he has good. I think he has better stuff than he's given credit for. That's what I like about him. He has good. I like guys with good stuff as opposed to rather have a guy with electric stuff than a guy with really good control. Ideally, you want both, but Houck has that good stuff, so I like that.
William wants to know who's going to dong, Salvi or Torque. I like Torkelson a lot today. I think
he's been doing good this year. Yeah,
he's a bloomer, late bloomer. Right? Obviously he was a mega prospect at one point. He faltered, he scuffled. He was considered like a 4A kind of player, but there's some talent in that bat for sure. And I don't think we're afraid of Tyler Alexander. I like Salvi as well because Carrasco is long in the tooth, as they say. It's a rough years these days.
Salvi's not exactly a spring chicken, brother.
It's fair. Who's longer in the tooth among Salvi and Carrasco? They're both probably 35 or so, give or take.
I bet you Salvi's probably 3 years older. I mean, I don't know that for sure. I mean, my guess would be, I think Carrasco was just like a really quick, like peak and then passed it really fast. But I don't know.
You might be right. Okay, so Salvi's 34. You got Carrasco over or under 34?
I would have said, first of all, I thought Salvi was a little older than that, but I would say under, but I'm probably wrong.
Carrasco is 38, so he is longer.
Holy cow. I did not know Carrasco's been around that long.
Where does that expression come from, Chop? Do you know where long in the tooth comes from? What's the origin story?
I would imagine it probably has something to do with horses, and the longer and the more they age, the longer their teeth. I don't know though. You have to Google it.
Do horses get longer teeth as they get older?
Some people say that.
That's a question for Dave. Dave's
some people say, they say that. Some people say, look at that horse's mouth, and then they automatically think of that when Aaron Judge comes to bat. But I mean, I'm not the one. I don't know why those two things are connected like that.
I see Roth talking in chat, but I'm told that Roth is not actually in the bullpen. Is Roth not here? Is Crunch Time not fully assembled? What does Roth know that the show is coming on? He's just hanging out in the chat. He mentioned earlier, he gave like a heads up. Monday, I think, is his drinking day. He said he had a drink. So, yeah. So we're going to get fired up, Roth, today. Roth just realizes he's on the show. He's just enjoying himself. By the way, he had a terrible take on Twitter today. He was saying that Adolescence was not a good show. And that just, it's a bad take.
Is that the new one on Netflix?
Yeah. I mean, just the way it's done production-wise is incredible. I mean, if nothing else,
I have heard definitely the two ends of that theory, right? Or that, that show. I've heard it's really good, and I've heard it's a tough watch. So I don't know.
It's not the most fun topic.
Yeah.
But the execution and the production and the acting, if you appreciate those kind of things, I know I'm tapping in the snobby Dean when I'm saying these things. Things aren't going to be blowing up like every 12. Michael Bay would not approve of this TV show. But anyways, let's go ahead. Let's bring in Crunch Time. We have a fully assembled Crunch Time. Kevin Roth, Chief Meteorologist. Kristi's here, as well as TastefulTides. Tim, let's do it. Crunch Time. Bring it. Roth, did you forget you were on the show? I see you hanging out in chat, and Steve's like, he's not here. I'm like, he's right there. I see him typing.
So usually I sign into the show in the waiting room, and that's how I watch the show. But today I started watching like 30 minutes early, so I was just watching on YouTube. And the whole time watching on YouTube, I just assumed I was in, like I usually am, but I wasn't. So that's by the way, long in the tooth is because your gum line gradually recedes, animals and humans. So it appears your teeth get longer as you age. That's where long in the tooth comes from.
All right. Yeah, that checks out. I didn't even have to Google. I would assume that that's a.
Yep.
That sounds correct to me. We're still on round one. This is your day where you can get a little frisky.
Yeah. We're on number 3 now.
Oh,
we're getting after it, Dean.
This is picked up quickly.
By the way, that show was terrible. Let me tell you what. It's not that it was a bad show. The production was incredible. The acting's incredible, but it was boring. Dean, you could amazingly cinematography me taking a poop, and it's still me taking a poop. Is
it a one shot? Is it a oneer?
It's a one shot. A whole episode. Look, they did one shot the whole episode. Yeah, it doesn't make the show good, Dean. It was boring.
It's a very simple story. It's very simple.
Yes.
I think Roth just found his topic for OnlyFans.
It was great technically, and the acting was amazing, but it just wasn't entertaining in any way, shape, or form. Don't watch it. Down. Thumbs down.
Can anybody else chime in? Has anybody else seen this? Anybody else aware of Adolescence?
I've only seen 2 episodes of it, so I have not finished it.
So you've seen half of it.
Okay.
There's only 4 episodes.
He goes, okay. Okay. Okay.
And you got nothing? You watched half of it and you got nothing?
Well, no. I mean, I haven't seen the ending, so I don't really know how it's...
You got some more.
What's that?
Never mind. Why even volunteer you see 2 episodes if you have nothing to say about the 2 episodes?
No, I want to keep watching it, Dean. I haven't seen the ending.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough. All right. Myself and Chop are going to step aside and get out of here. Make way for Crunch Time. Me and Roth do agree. Roth, we agree that OKC in the 3rd spot was egregious, right? That was insulting?
Yeah, especially with the Clippers in the 2 spot. Yeah, like you can pick a couple teams from the East maybe and put them in 1 and 2 just because the East is so much easier. But yeah, that was egregious. But like Chop said, he's allowed to have takes, and nothing wrong with having takes.
Fair enough. Yeah, we're all allowed to be wrong. I'm wrong plenty of times. All right, that was Chop. I was Dean. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff. As always, welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. It's crunch time. It's 2 of the sharpest minds in the biz. TastefulTides. Tim in the house. What up, Tim?
Yeah, not much. This is a pretty awesome GPP slate. It's definitely a lot of different ways we can go about it. Interested to hear what Kristi has to say, and excited to break this one down with you guys.
Okay, looking forward to that. We do have Kristi on as well, outdressing us as usual. Kristi, what's up?
I know. I'm excited too. I do. I think it's an awesome slate for a Monday. Great GPP slate. A little bit different for both sites for pitching, just because of prices and stuff. But yeah, it's going to be a great one.
Okay. Well, we will discuss pitching. We will go through hitting, stacks, all that. We'll go around the horn. We'll take your questions as well. Shout out to producer Steve, by the way, who always does such a great job with the show. Just said, I'm fighting for my life right now with a stomach virus. Just a heads up. So if the production value is less than what you're accustomed to, it's because Steve died. And we rest in peace. Feel better, man. That's not fun for anybody. We all know the feeling. Let's kind of dive into it. I'll start with a weather update. My only real concern was Pittsburgh. It's not on the slate, and it's no longer a concern. So that should alleviate all real weather concerns there. In Philly, I was mildly worried about some late arriving rain. Now that rain is going to be so late that doesn't matter. And also, was that one early as well?
That's early.
Yeah. Yep. Bottom line is, I don't think we have any real worries. In Minnesota, there's a low chance of a delay, but the chance is low enough that you just play whatever you were going to play. Pitchers, hitters, whatever it is, just do it. So that's it. That's my whole weather spiel. And with that, I think we can dive into kind of the content side of things. And Kristi, ladies first, I will let you lead us off. Generally, we start talking about some pitchers.
Yeah, so I think for pitchers, I kind of mentioned that, each site, the pricing is just a little bit different. So if you're playing over on FanDuel tonight, I think if you look, one of the guys that's going to stand out is Dylan Cease over there. He's really pretty inexpensive. He's just 8,400 compared to 9,800 over on DraftKings. So he's somebody that I have a ton of interest over on FanDuel. He's probably my highest owned pitcher, doing some 20 entry max tonight. So I like him quite a bit. A guy that always checks in great, of course, at the top is Tariq Skubal. He's expensive. And I think Cheese mentioned in his article, he's one of those pitchers that, does well, is a fine, real life pitcher, but you probably don't always need him in GPP. So I like some of the other pitchers just a little bit better. I don't find myself necessarily paying up for him. So again, on FanDuel, a lot of Dylan Cease. I think you could play guys like Framber Valdez. He's expensive over there. He's way cheaper on DraftKings. I like him. Dustin May, again, I think you can play him on both sites. Clay Holmes is another guy that's checking out as a pretty good value pitcher tonight, especially over on DraftKings, especially where you need on a 2-pitcher site. I think he makes a ton of sense. Maybe playing him with Framber Valdez over on DraftKings is my favorite pairing. But I think you could play him too over on FanDuel just to get a little bit different because Cease is going to be quite popular over there. Yeah, I think those are the guys mostly that I'm looking for at pitcher tonight.
Okay, and that's FanDuel and DK?
Yep, exactly. So a lot of, yep. Cease is really the guy over on FanDuel for me. When you look over on DraftKings tonight, I think the guys that you're going to find yourself looking at, Framber Valdez is going to check in as one of the top plays over there. You see here. Yeah, Framber Valdez. I think Clay Holmes is going to be one of your cheap value guys that you can play. And then Shane Baz too. I think he's fine too. He's pitched really, really well. He's just 8,400 over on DraftKings. So I like him. Dustin May, like I mentioned. Yeah, okay. Pretty similar, but yeah, mostly a lot of Dylan Cease over on FanDuel.
Okay. Tim, I want to kick it to you. Both sites, what are you doing pitcher-wise? As I look at the ownership here, I'm kind of intrigued. I didn't hear, Kristi, did you mention May?
Yeah, I do like May. He is, just because his matchup is so great against Colorado, not sure how many innings he's going to pitch for sure. I think we have him 85
like 86
pitches.
Yeah,
85, 86 in there. So I think he's fine just because of the matchup. If it wasn't for the matchup against Colorado, I'd probably have less interest. But I think he's fine to throw in the pool tonight.
Okay. Tim, your thoughts at pitcher?
Yeah, so Dylan Cease on FanDuel, I think is the pretty clear and obvious choice for like cash games and like smaller field contests because he's just seems way too cheap over on FanDuel, 8,400. If you want to pay up, obviously Framber Valdez and Tariq Skubal would be your pay up options. I think Joe Ryan is super interesting for GPPs at 9,400. But really, Cease is kind of like the outlier on FanDuel. He's far too cheap over on that site. But on DK, I think he's a little bit too expensive. Like he's still fine for tournaments, but he's not going to be like your cash game guy on DraftKings. If you're playing cash tonight, I would personally go Skubal and Valdez. But having said that, in single entry, I'm actually going to be fading Skubal tonight, and I'm probably going to be going Valdez and Clay Holmes, or perhaps Valdez and Tanner Houck. I haven't really quite made up my mind yet. So I'm going to be living in this kind of between 7 and 8K range where there's quite a few options. So that way I can pay up for pretty much all the bats that I want to. So you could definitely play Valdez, Shane Baz, Clay Holmes, Tanner Houck. I think they're all really, really interesting in that range. So you can really mix and match those pieces. Now, my take on Skubal, he's absolutely fine and great if you want to play him in GPPs. That's just not what I'm going to be doing. I think he's a great cash game play. I think he's super safe. I know that Dave and Kristi talked about how he's really not the guy that has like the massive ceiling. So for that reason, I'm gonna fade him in large field stuff and in single entry stuff. That doesn't mean though he can't easily be the highest draw point pitcher on the slate, and some of these other guys fail, you're gonna want to have that safety of a Skubal. So he's not a bad play at all, but he's personally not who I'm going to be rostering tonight.
But if you can get close to that with Holmes for $4,000 less, you would rather do that essentially.
I would, just because there's so many amazing bats and really good matchups tonight. So it's like I'm not going to prioritize my salary to pitching tonight. There's just so many good spots for hitting.
What's the strikeout upside on Boz?
Yeah. I mean, I'll have to look up his prop. I don't know what his prop is, but he does have a pretty decent matchup against Boston today. He's 8,400. He's firmly in play in single entry or large field GPPs. I don't think he's a cash game play, but large field GPPs, I think he's fantastic. I think he's a really, really strong play.
Okay. Well, let's pivot. We'll talk about some of the stacks, and Tim, you get to lead us off there.
Yeah. So I was hearing a lot more chatter about Atlanta tonight. Atlanta is going to be really, really popular. I was expecting to hear a lot more chatter about the Dodgers. That now the Dodgers are going to be super popular, but it looks like Atlanta and kind of the Dodgers are going to consume a lot of this aggregate ownership. I was expecting the Dodgers to be far outpace them in terms of projected ownership. So I kind of like that Atlanta is going to be chalky. I'm personally not going to be playing Atlanta. But that doesn't mean that they can't have a fantastic game, but I'm not going to play Atlanta into all this ownership. I would much rather go into ownership with the Dodgers against Antonio Sensatella, who, as Chop was alluding to in the last show, he's purely just a contact guy. Like he does not have swing and miss potential. We have tons of sample on him. He's not a strikeout guy. So anytime I can play the Dodgers against a high contact pitcher like Sensatella, I'm going to do that. So this is why I'm living in the mid range and pitching, because I want to prioritize guys like Ohtani, guys like Betts, Will Smith at catcher, all these more expensive type bats. So the Dodgers are the clear one for me. The Royals against Carlos Carrasco. Carrasco is really, they're saying in the last show, he's 38 years old. He is so far past his prime. He's another guy who really can't miss bats. So the Royals would be my second favorite stack. And then I guess it'd probably be the Yankees, just because top to bottom, they're so strong. And Seth Lugo really does not have strikeout ability either. So I think the Yankees would probably be third for me. And then I guess I would get to some Atlanta if I was spreading it out, but I just would be paying attention to how much Atlanta you're getting, because they are going to be popular. So I would personally want to be underweight Atlanta if I was making multiple teams.
Very good. Kristi, your thoughts in the stack department. How are you getting different? What do you view as the chalk? Let's hear it all.
Yeah. Well, first, I'm feeling really good because last time Tim and I did a show together, we were pretty similar in our thoughts, and we kind of finished neck and neck in a GPP. So I'm feeling great because our pitchers are identical. I'm Cease on FanDuel, single entry, and I agree over on DraftKings too. Just to swing back to pitcher real quick too. I just think getting cheaper with Holmes and Valdez is the way to go. But it's Dodgers all day for me too. And I think Atlanta is going to be fairly chalky tonight. And for me, it's the Dodgers. And I think you can, there's no Teoscar tonight, but, getting Ohtani, Betts, a guy that I've played a lot this year too is Tommy Edman. And he's, got quite a few home runs. I think he's got 6 home runs on the season. So he's been great. Conforto, you got some cheaper guys there too. Freddie Freeman's back in the lineup. So I agree on the Dodgers. I do like the Royals. Probably number 2 for me actually is the Yankees too, just because, I think they're expensive for the most part, especially over on DraftKings. They have come down a little bit over on FanDuel. So you are able to, kind of fit them in even with some of the Dodgers over there, especially with saving at pitcher with Cease. So I like the Yankees, and I'd also maybe even throw Tampa Bay in there a little bit too. You can get some cheap plays in there, and I think that's fine. And then, kind of throw Atlanta at the bottom. But yeah, for me, it's Dodgers are just a team that, anytime they're on the slate, I have interest, but especially against a pitcher that, as Kevin likes to say, get funnel caked.
She's got that funnel cake potential.
Yeah, it's got the funnel cake potential. So I like that a lot.
Okay, very good. Did get a few pitcher questions, and then we're going to go around the horn, talk position by position. Already having people clamoring for that. 2 pitcher questions. Sean says, Tim, Cease +7 ERA doesn't worry anyone?
It's just a small sample size for this season. That's I would not worry about that at all whatsoever.
Okay. And then Eric says, wait, Roth, I've got a pretty good question. And this is what he said, to be clear. How is Scooball's upside in question when he led the AL in Ks? I'm not sure that's a great take by our respected friends. He's calling you out. You got to defend it. You got to fend that take off. What do you think? Is there concern about that?
I don't think it's more an upside concern. I think he's going to be fine. He's going to go out and do good. I just don't know if he's going to get you the numbers that you need, especially with the bats, like with the Dodgers. I'd rather get the Dodgers and some of those big bats in there tonight. And so sacrificing and getting Holmes in there and saving with Valdez, I feel like I can get just as much upside. So it's not that I don't like him.
Yeah.
I don't know what Tim thinks.
Tim?
Yeah, I mean, I think Kristi answered that question really well. I just prefer to use my salary on pitching tonight. On hitting tonight and not pitching. So when Scooball gets his 27 fantasy points, personally, I don't think that's going to be enough. So that's just the issue. Everything is very slate specific when you talk about DFS. So there's going to be 5 days from now, we might absolutely love Scooball because there's no hitting. I don't know, but tonight there's so many good hitting spots.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Did get a few questions about Minnesota and the weather there. People are excited because winds are blowing out almost 20 miles per hour to right center, but also the temperatures in the 40s. If only there were a tool that took all of the games played under similar weather situations and could tell us what the outcome of those games were. Well, there is. It's called Weather Edge. If you sign up for RotoGrinders Premium, you can have it. The issue being you don't get too many baseball games played with temperatures in the 40s and with a 20-mile-per-hour wind. And that leaves us with only 2 games in Minnesota that have been played in the last 20 years with those conditions. And what it shows is irrelevant because a 2-game sample size is absolute nonsense. So the answer to that question is we don't know. Is that a plus for hitters because the winds are blowing out? Is it a plus for pitchers because it's 40 degrees? We truly just don't know the answer to that. And we don't have the stats because this situation doesn't happen all that often. And that's it. That's all I've got. Okay, let's talk about some of these hitters. And Tim, you can start. We'll go around the horn. We'll start a catcher.
Yeah, so on FanDuel, you actually can play a catcher tonight. You can definitely play Will Smith. You can definitely play Sal Perez. They are both far, far, far too cheap. So those guys can definitely be part of a stack or just part of like a mini stack or I guess even a one-off if you wanted to. So definitely, you can definitely play those guys. You could probably even play Sean Murphy, but I'm not really as high on Atlanta as the other teams. On DraftKings, it's the same guys. It's Will Smith. It's Sal Perez. Don't mind getting to some Austin Wells, who I think is going to be way lower owned than somebody like Will Smith and Sal Perez. And we do like the Yankees tonight against Seth Lugo. I have a lot of interest in the Tigers tonight. Dylan Dingler at 3,900, I think is a completely fine GPP play. There aren't really any like super cheap catchers that I would play outside of stacks.
Yeah. Okay. Kristi, your thoughts? By the way, I just saw we've got like roughly 1,000 people watching and have not nearly the amount of likes that we should. Hit that thumbs up. You've got content from 2 of the best in the industry. So make sure you hit the thumbs up so we can keep the show free for you all season long. Kristi, catcher?
Yeah, I agree with Tim too that, like over on FanDuel, a lot of times you don't have to play a catcher, but there are some interesting plays over there tonight. I like Will Smith, like Tim mentioned, Salvador Perez, who I think is going to be popular. Sean Murphy, we talked a little bit about the Braves. I think he looks pretty good over on DraftKings, just at a good price point. He also mentioned Austin Wells, who I like. He's 2,700 over on FanDuel, and getting a guy like him and Goldschmidt are pretty cheap over there. So if you want to get a Yankee stack, certainly don't mind going to those guys. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. I'm kind of just looking to the stacks that I like and looking at Will Smith, Perez, Wells, and Murphy are probably the top ones. So spending a little bit more at catcher than I normally do tonight.
Okay, very good. Kristi, take us to first base, please.
Yeah, so for first base, over on DraftKings, you can play Ohtani over there. But you can also play guys like Ben Rice, looks pretty good over there. He's 3,900 in the Yankees stack. Freddie Freeman is a guy I have a lot of exposure to, like that he's back into the lineup. Vlad checks out as a pretty good play. We haven't talked a lot about Toronto, but I think he's fine. I'm not getting to a ton of him just because, again, getting to guys like Ohtani, Freeman, Perez, you can play at both spots. I know Tim mentioned Spencer Torkelson. He's at a good price point. Vinny Pasquantino. Paul Goldschmidt, I think is fine too. I like him a little bit better over on FanDuel because he's under 3K over there. So certainly like that play. And then I talked a little bit about Tampa Bay. Aranda, I think he's fine to play. He's 3,800 over on DraftKings. So yeah, those are the guys that I'm looking at first base tonight.
Okay. And if I didn't mention it, Tampa is the only weather spot where I actually like the hitting conditions. Everywhere else, it's meh. At best, it's meh. Tim, your thoughts at first base, please.
Yeah, so we had our one of our regulars in chat, Mabs, say how Spencer Torkelson has better home run odds than Ohtani. And I thought they were just kidding, but it's true. Spencer Torkelson has plus 250 to hit a home run tonight. Ohtani's plus 290.
Wow.
So Spencer Torkelson is, I think, a top play on both sites if you need somebody who's cheap. Freddie Freeman is probably your best bet for raw points and what I think is the best overall stack of the night, and that's the Dodgers. So I think Freeman on both sites, very, very playable. Vinny P, 3,100 on FanDuel. I got to check his, 4,500 on DraftKings. So very, very playable across the board. Kind of in that mid range. I really like KC tonight. Ben Rice, a part of your Yankees stack. I like that a lot. Other than that, I think maybe a Tristan Cassis at 3,500 just because he's cheap and he does have power, and I don't think many people are going to play him. But I think that's really it for first base for me.
Okay, you get to bring us the second, Tim.
Yeah, so optimizers love Ozzy Albies, and I totally get it. If you want to go that route in cash games, I understand it. I'm going to be underweight Atlanta and GPPs tonight, so he's got crossed off just for me, just in my own personal opinion. I do like Michael Massey at 3,700. I think he's a really nice price point. Jazz Chisholm at 55. I think he's a really, really strong play. I don't think he's going to be that popular either. Tommy Edman. I think he's a really solid play, batting sixth in that Dodgers lineup. And Gleyber Torres, I do like Detroit tonight, so I wouldn't mind taking some shots on Gleyber Torres at 4,200.
Kristi, what do you like at second?
Yep, like those guys too. Like I said, Albies is, like Tim mentioned, going to be very, very popular. Tommy Edman, I'd throw in there too. He's someone that I've used in the Dodgers stacks to get a little bit different, so I like him, getting some exposure to him. Michael Massey, I think, is a great play too to save some money on the Kansas City side. I do like Jazz Chisholm too. I just think some of those Yankee bats are going to go just a little bit overlooked. So I like that play. Gleyber Torres too. Again, some of those Detroit bats are kind of sneaky in there. I don't have too much. Brandon Lau, I'd throw in there too. He's just 3K over on FanDuel, and you can get a pretty cheap stack over there of Tampa Bay. And you can get them with the Dodgers pretty easily over there. So like that play as well.
Okay. Well, Kristi, we got a question from Don who says, who is a good third baseman? And it just so turns out, we are on third base. So walk him through it. Give him somebody who's going to hit him a homer, win him a tournament.
Yeah, exactly. So Riley's going to check in. Austin Riley's going to check in as one of the top plays on the slate. Again, you're going to have a lot of those Atlanta bats that look really, really good. Jonathan India is back in that Kansas City lineup, and I do like that. Batting leadoff. We talked about Kansas City being the top stack. I like that quite a bit. I think it was maybe Eric that wrote up Max Muncy, who has not gotten off to a great start to start the season, but he's down to 4.1K and he's 2,700 over on FanDuel. So I'm finding myself getting some Muncy in my stacks, and he's batting 7. So I think he goes a little bit overlooked, but he's cheaper. Don't mind that. Junior Caminero in the Tampa Bay stacks. I think he's a good person to get to there. You've got Malloy at just 2,500 at third base if you're looking to save some money. Trying to think if there's anybody else I'm looking at. I'd throw Garcia in there too. Miguel Garcia for Kansas City. Both he and India are fine plays. Yeah, those are the main guys that I'm kind of looking at tonight.
Okay, Tim, before I get your thoughts at third, I am getting a few weather questions. Mr. Grapefruit said, are we okay playing pitchers in Minnesota? There is rain around, but I don't think it ever rains hard enough to cause a delay. So yes, I'm okay playing pitchers there. If that changes, I'll let you know. And then the second question was, aren't winds blowing out in Minnesota? And we talked about that earlier. They are blowing out, but it's 40-something degrees, which limits how far the ball carries. So those factors kind of offset a little bit. And I don't think, we're not looking at this like Wrigley with winds blowing out when it's 80, right? I don't think it's a huge advantage to bats, but it's something that is noteworthy at least. Yeah. Tim, your thoughts at third base, please.
Yeah, Austin Riley is going to be the overwhelming chalk, especially on FanDuel. Like I said, I'm going to be underweight them, but he's fine if you want to play them in cash games. Jonathan India, I like quite a bit as a pivot. I do like that Max Muncy call a lot. Third base does not seem to be like a very, very strong position. So if you wanted to punt it with Andy Ibanez batting third at 2,900, he does have some pitch hit risk, but I think he's okay as a play. Ernie Clement at 2,500 also, I think he's an interesting punt if you're seeking value at that position. But really, if you don't play Riley and you don't, you're going to be getting off of quite a bit of ownership just by fading him.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you get to bring us to shortstop, Tim. What do you like there?
Yeah. So shortstop is absolutely amazing. I would strongly recommend spending up in this position. Bobby Witt's probably the top play, but I prefer Mookie Betts tonight just because I like the Dodgers a little bit more. But obviously, I'm not going to argue with anybody if they want to play Bobby Witt. If you want to go a little bit lower, which I don't think you should do outside of a stacking situation, I don't mind Bo Bichette. He's pretty cheap on FanDuel as well, so he's a pretty decent play. I wouldn't mind Anthony Volpe as part of Yankees stack. But really, I would just stay in that upper range with like Witt or Betts, regardless of GPPs or cash.
Yeah. Okay. Kristi, your thoughts at short? I'm just looking at radar, making sure everything looks good. I think for the most part, we're still on track.
Yeah, I agree with Tim. I think this is a spot you're going to look to probably spend up. And I do think Witt and Betts, are two of the guys that look really, really attractive at shortstop tonight. Another guy I'd throw out there, I do like Volpe too, especially in a Yankee stack, just to get different. I like that. And it's, he's not going to carry much ownership. I'd maybe throw Trevor Story in there too. He's just 4,200 over on DraftKings, batting 5 in that Boston lineup. Don't mind him if you need to save a little bit off of Witt and Betts, but I'm kind of like Tim. I'm looking to spend up here with guys like Witt and Betts.
Okay. Kristi, before we move on to the outfield, we got a question about third from Stardog, who says, Kristi, Paredes is on fire. Why not him, Kristi? And you were named specifically in the question.
Yeah. I think it's fine. I'm getting more, I'm playing guys that are in my stacks tonight. So I'm getting to guys like Muncy, not as much Riley. He's going to be popular, of course. So I just think because of my stacks and how they're looking, India, Miguel Garcia on the Kansas City guys, those are guys that I'm focusing on. But Paredes has been very, very hot, and I certainly don't mind that GPP play.
Okay, very good. Now you get to bring us to the outfield. What do you like there, Kristi? I'm sure there's plenty to choose from.
Yeah, there is. So Ohtani's obviously going to check in as, one of the top best plays on the slate, like he does most nights when the Dodgers are on the table. So I like that a ton. Aaron Judge too. I mean, again, he's expensive, but that's why, we talked about saving at pitcher just a little bit more because of some of those big bats in there that we like. Bats that are maybe a little bit cheaper to make it all work too. You've got Andy Paez, who is really cheap over on DraftKings. And then you've got a guy like Michael Conforto, who's really cheap over on FanDuel that I like to make it work. He's just $2,700 over on FanDuel. Jonathan India is somebody that you can play in the outfield position too. So I think he makes a ton of sense. I would also throw in, let's see, if you needed to save some money too, Gavin Sheets, maybe as a one-off. He's just $3,100 over on DraftKings. Don't mind that. And then a guy with no Marcell Ozuna in that Atlanta offense, Brian De La Cruz is going to look pretty good at just $2,700, batting 5th there. So both he and Michael Harris, I think if you're looking to stack Atlanta, certainly don't mind that. And then maybe just another one-off to Anthony Santander in that Toronto offense, $4,500 over on DraftKings. I know there's a couple of guys that liked him to hit a home run tonight, had pretty good odds for that. So I think he's a fine one-off play. And then you can get to some of those Tampa Bay guys too, like Christopher Morel. He's $4,100. But for me, Ohtani is probably the guy that I'm looking to build around for sure in the outfield tonight.
I approve of that. And by the way, if you're watching now and you're looking for some home run picks, we're going to do that soon. So hang out just a few more minutes. Tim, your thoughts in the outfield?
Yeah, so Ohtani's my top play. I would say Aaron Judge is a really close 1B. Definitely spend up on both of those guys tonight. For value, Michael Conforto, at least on FanDuel, is $2,700. So he's way too cheap. He should be in your cash games. He should be in your Dodger stacks. A mid-range play. Obviously, I do like Kristi's Santander call. I like that quite a bit. I don't mind maybe Abreu for the Red Sox, $4,800. Kerry Carpenter at $3,900. I like quite a bit as well. Brian Buxton is still pretty cheap at $4,400, so I think he's decent in the mid range. And then for value would be a guy like Andy Paez batting 9th, Brian De La Cruz batting 5th in that Atlanta lineup. You're probably going to be playing Brian De La Cruz in cash games tonight. I'm not playing him on my single entry team, but cash games, he's probably your punt outfielder.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff, guys. We're getting a ton of questions in, questions about stacks, questions about hitters, questions about pitchers, and we will get to that. We still have 14 minutes until lock, but I've got a question about home runs, about dongs. Tim, my question's about, well, I'm not gonna yell dongs again. It's about home runs, Tim. That's what I want to know. So who's hitting some bombs tonight, Tim? I want somebody up top. I want maybe somebody in the middle. That's optional. And I want somebody sneaky as well.
All right, so odds not considered, I'll go with Shohei Ohtani. And then somebody who I am actually betting on is Vinny Pasquantino plus 500. Vinny P plus 500 on DraftKings. I did just put that bet in. And then I'm trying to think like a contrarian home run. I'm going to go Kerry Carpenter. I think some of these Tigers are going to be somewhat popular, but I don't think Kerry Carpenter is going to be popular.
Okay, very good. Kristi, your thoughts here? If you were betting, or I mean, I know you're betting and that you're playing DFS. Who do you have getting some home runs here? Kind of on all levels, if you could.
Yeah, kind of all levels. I definitely Ohtani at the top, but a guy that I've mentioned quite a bit tonight too. I'm going to throw Tommy Edman in there. I really like him. I do like Salvador Perez in that Kansas City game. So I'd throw him in there. And then maybe, let's see, sneaky one. Well, I guess in that Dodgers game too, I'm going to go Conforto. I'm loaded up with the Dodgers, but I'm going to go Conforto and Edman and Salvador Perez.
Very good. Love it. We want to answer some questions. We got a bunch of them coming in. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit us with that thumbs up. Before we get to the questions, though, we got to pay the bills. And since the show is free, we do it like this. The MLB DFS annual option here, if you want all the content all year long, it's $425. But because we like you, we've dropped the price of our Combo Pro product to mirror the MLB annual package. So you get more sports for the same price. 6-month combo gives you access to content, tools, projections for every sport except NASCAR at a much cheaper price than the monthly package. You save about 35% if you go the 6-month option instead of doing it month by month by month. So you can sign up now. You get MLB projections, NBA content, PGA data, and more. It is absolutely the way to go. So make sure you're signing up for that. In the meantime, we still have 11-ish minutes to get to some questions. I'm scrolling up. Here we go. Alex says, and I'm just reading this as it's written here. Kristi, DK all formats. I'm talking to a little Joe Ryan. Are we okay with that?
Yeah, I know Tim kind of mentioned him. Yeah, I think he's fine for GPPs. Yep, I like it.
Very good. Kristi, right back to you. J Sam says FanDuel single entry Kristi in a Dodger stack, which you are doing.
Yep.
Do you prefer Kike or I always want to say Pages, but I believe it's Pajes. I was leaning Pajes because I have Ohtani and I get that 9-1 little wraparound correlation.
That's what I would do too. Yep, I like that. So I like that 9-1.
Very good. Tim, coming to you for a few. Yep, that's me in the Discord. By the way, sign up at the RotoGrinders Discord. We get your questions answered first, but I'm coming to the YouTube now. What about Paredes at third?
I mean, he's fine. I don't love it. There's better ways, I think, to play third tonight. Better stacks.
Okay. All right. Scrolling up in the YouTube just a little bit. How about a Tampa stack and a FanDuel GPP, Tim?
Well, you did mention that was like the only decent weather spot on the entire board, so I guess I don't hate it. They do have it at 4.25 implied team total. It's okay. I don't love it, but I guess it's all right.
Okay. We'll go to Kristi. Collins says, any interest in a random twin stack? Sorry, just getting here. It's okay. You're welcome to join at any time.
Yeah, they're not a team I'm getting to tonight. I just think like if you're looking for like maybe a cheaper stack, Tampa Bay is somebody that I'm, liking to get exposure to, but not for me tonight.
Okay. A question in the YouTube from Zakakao. I butchered the last name. I tried my best. Honestly, I butchered it. Zakakao says, is a Kansas City stack fine, Kristi?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's one of the stacks that we really like tonight, both sides of that game. So I think that's a great stack.
Okay. Hey, Tim or Kristi, and Tim, it is your turn. No Sonny Gray love.
I really don't. I don't really like Sonny Gray at all tonight. I think there's just better pitchers right around that same price tag. I'm a little bit worried about his leash, to be honest with you. I think there's just stronger plays with pitching tonight.
Okay. Let's see what else we've got. Scrolling down. Whatever happened to the 2K crappers? Jerry wants to know. Let's do it. Let me ask you, favorite cheap plays on the whole slate. Is it FanDuel where they're 2K and DK they're a little more, or I don't know. I don't play DFS baseball.
Yeah. So Justin Malloy, batting leadoff for the Tigers. Justin Henry Malloy, plays third. I think he's outfield eligible on FanDuel, but he's 2,500 on DraftKings. Mm-hmm. He does have some pitch hit risk, but I think it's okay. And I think because he's so cheap, I think he's fine. We talked about Brian De La Cruz for Atlanta. He's 2,700 in the outfield. So, not 2K, but there are some options at least in that 2,500, price point. But really it's, and then I guess you could go Stuart Fairchild. He's 2K exactly, but he has like over 50% probably pitch hit risk. So he is a little bit risky in that Atlanta lineup.
Kristi, you were looking there?
Yeah, I was going to mention him, but yeah, the pinch hit risk is something you have to worry about. One other guy I'd throw out there, just because I believe in his talent. I mean, he is going up against Dustin May, but Zach Veen has been called up into that Colorado lineup, and he's actually pretty talented. He's 2K flat as well, batting 8. So I don't mind that if you're really looking to save.
Very good. Okay. Joseph says Caminero or Mikhail Garcia, Kristi?
I'd probably lean on whatever one I'm doing in my stack. If I'm doing Kansas City, Garcia, and Caminero, if I'm doing Tampa Bay, but I like them both.
Okay. Let's go to Johnny Utah. What a username that is. Tim, Johnny Utah says, Is it okay to be a bit unique? To be a bit unique, what are your thoughts on a pairing of Skubal and Cease? Is that unique? On DK, to be clear.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be super unique, but I think it's completely fine. I think it's a completely fine pairing.
Okay, very good. Right back to you, Tim. Will Smith or Sal Perez? It is a DK cash question.
Yeah, that's like pretty much an impossible 1v1. I guess for cash, I would go Will Smith.
Okay. By the way, the beard just daily looks more and more majestic. Are you done trimming it, or you're leaving it at this length?
I don't really do anything with it. I don't have a plan. I don't have a plan for it either, to be honest with you.
It looks so good right now that I worry it's going to get too crazy. No, it's great. Give a thumbs up for Tim's beard if you haven't hit the thumbs
That's
up.
That's right.
Let's see. Kristi, this one's for you. We Major says your 2 favorite pitchers for FanDuel tournaments, not named Cease.
Not named Cease. Okay. I would say, let's see here. I'm going to say, I'd probably go, just because the price point, I'd throw Dustin May in there just because of the matchup against Colorado at just 8,700. Him and probably Framber Valdez would be the 2 that I'd look at.
Good stuff. Mr. Richard says, Kristi, in a DK large field GPP, which team stack should I have the most of? Currently, I have the most Kansas City.
I do like the Kansas City. I think that's great. Aside from the Dodgers too, I'd throw the Yankees in there. I just think because the Dodgers are going to carry a lot of ownership, the Yankees will come in under-owned.
Very nice. Okay, Tim, over to you. Alan says Gray and Valdez in the same lineup on DK. Tim?
I don't really like Gray. So
you got a reasoning, or you just personally?
I don't like his leash, and there's just better pitchers in my opinion on the slate.
Okay. Let's see here. Gray, Baz, Lucas, or Clay Holmes. That seems like 3v2. I'm confused. Right? That's 3v2. I don't understand it. We're going to go to the next question. Let's see. Yahoo for cash, Ryan or Cease, Tim?
Yahoo for cash. Well, I got to pull up Yahoo really quick.
In the meantime, I will give Kristi this compliment from God's plan. I like Kristi. She's knowledgeable and actually offers logic to the show. Now, while we fully agree, Tim does that as well. To be clear, yes, that is accurate.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it. But
I know I love working with Tim.
Yeah,
we usually have pretty similar insights.
Yeah, Tim does the same thing. All right, sorry.
For Yahoo Cash, Cease or Ryan, I think I would go Cease.
Okay, we'll go to Mark Flores. Kristi, this one's for you. It's SP2, so DK, Gray, Baz, Lucas, or Clay Holmes.
I would go Clay Holmes.
Okay, very good. Paul in Boat says, why are you in the show if you don't play MLB DFS? Good question. Because I'm a meteorologist and a host, and I don't really offer any insight. I just make sure that they stay on track. And
you do with basketball, though.
I do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I play basketball. I win, too, just so you know. I crush in the NBA streets. Yeah. But baseball, I used to play a little bit. People always accuse me of like, Roth said it would rain there so that he could get the ownership down. It was just not.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I just don't want people.
I forget about that. I forget about those trolls that like yell at you on Twitter.
Those few trolls. Oh boy.
Yeah, like I'm not. It's not even worth the drama. So I'm out on MLB. FanDuel GPP. This one's from Juice15. Kristi, FanDuel GPP. Cease and Wells or Atlanta Holmes and Freeman.
Ooh. I think I'd go Cease and Wells. I like Wells' price point a lot tonight, batting 4 for the Yankees. So I like that.
Okay, very good. Tim, over to you. Jar Dog, Kyle Isbell or Jordan Walker on FanDuel?
I'd go Isbell.
Okay. Johnny Utah. All right, Johnny Utah is from, what is it, The Replacements? Isn't that? Isn't that the
I
Keanu
haven't
Reeves
seen it.
character?
I haven't seen that in so long.
It's been a minute. I thought you were just going to say I haven't seen that, and I was like, well, I have a task for you tonight, sir.
I've seen it.
I'm pretty sure that's the character's name. DK single entry, Tim. Valdez with Volpe and Dominguez, or Cease with Betts and Fairchild.
The first one.
Don says, question, Kristi, your favorite two pitchers in a DK large field tournament?
I think even for large field tournaments, it's still Holmes and Valdez for me.
Okay, very
Clay
good. Blink.
Holmes.
Okay. Blink says, Kristi, if you had to choose a stack, Royals against the Chunnel Cake King Carrasco, or Rays in the only good hitting weather spot, DK GPP.
Oh gosh, I do like them both. I would maybe say Tampa just because I think Royals will be a little bit more popular. So if you're looking to get a little bit different, throw Tampa in there. But I don't think you can go wrong with either one.
Yeah. Mab says, Roth, what am I wearing if it's a low of 66 and a high of 71 while I'm in Bermuda next week? Humble brag. He says, pants or shorts? You're wearing shorts, but with like maybe a hoodie at night. Shorts and a hoodie is a phenomenal combo in that weather at night. In the sun, just shorts and a t-shirt. You're good. What do we got? Kristi, Valdez and Clay Holmes in a GPP single entry. Valdez and Holmes. Clay Holmes, because there's multiple
Clay
Holmes.
Yeah, those are the ones. Yeah, I like Clay Holmes and Valdez.
Okay. Chili Chill says, Tim, we got less than a minute until lock. What do you think of Easton against Atlanta, FanDuel GPP?
I think it's an interesting way to get leverage on a super, super chalky Atlanta stack. I don't hate the play.
Okay. A bunch of people reminding folks that we are here for free, but we need the likes to keep it for free. So please, on your way out, make sure you hit that thumbs up. We have hit the lock. We did all the things that we came here to do. And I think it was a damn good show. T from Loke says, Kevin Roth greater than Kevin Garnett. That's the best compliment I've ever gotten. Let me screen grab that. I approve. Let's see. Whew. All right. We hit the lock. Steve, I forgot our producer is dying of food poisoning. He's currently vomiting. So I think we should probably get out of here so we can stop puking in a bucket and get to the toilet. So for Kristi and for Tim and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.